Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the North East Non-League Show, sponsored by DJ Private Hire, Gateway Accountancy Services Limited, Elite Goalkeeper Academy, and Motive8. And tonight is our Blyth Spartans season review show. And joining us tonight is Dan. Dan, thank you very much for coming on the show tonight.
No problem. Someone had to.
just before the show there, we just said I'm really sorry putting you through it again. Just literally a week or two after the season ended. But I think there's lots to talk about. Same with the Hartlepool fans last night. I think you expected 2 or 3 weeks without any news. And I'll come to on the show news straight away. I mean, what was your thoughts when you first seen that the breaking news?
I mean, I have to be careful with what I say about it, because I heard a few things about the way he was dismissed, and let's just say I expect better from the football club, if that makes sense. But in terms of how you treat your staff, but I'll leave that at that. It's a weird one because obviously when John came into the club last year, I think I told you last pre-season, I was quite impressed by him, quite liked him, thought he really knew what he was doing, and he could still sort of play a little bit. When he became manager, I was happy enough. I thought he's just going to kind of follow like Fence's blueprint there. And after the first month or so, it kind of fell apart, and he just really struggled to get things back on track, really, unfortunately. Really nice bloke. He's a proper football man, but unfortunately it just didn't work out for him. I could maybe see some of the reasons for keeping him, because I've got to be honest, I thought some of the players probably jacked it in a little bit in the last few weeks of the season, but and he could have probably let it clear out this summer. But I kind of had a good feeling that this new ownership group would have wanted to install their own manager, if that makes sense. So
yeah, like you say, when he first came, I mean, 21 games in charge on the touchline. I know he's obviously with Fenton a bit longer as well, but it was just that great start. I mean, the South Shields game and stuff like that, you think, wow, he's hit the ground running. You thought, yeah, we look like we could be possibly safe now. It was a fantastic start, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was brilliant. I mean, I think we were still, I think by the end of the month when we beat Gloucester and Bishop Stortford, I think we were probably 2 points off the playoffs, I think. And to be honest, I never expected us to get there. But I kind of thought we'd still maybe finish in some safe mid-table place after years of fighting the battle. And then, lo and behold, in the last few weeks of the season, we're back in that battle. So, yeah.
No, it's going crazy. I mean, interesting, obviously, you mentioned the way that he's kind of left, but as well, it was funny how when the new chairman came in, they sit down and talk and kind of said, John Shaw's this manager they expect to see in the Football League manager. It's strange how it's just all changed so quick, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that was a quote from Steve Howard, and when I think it was, when he said that, he just lost 6 in a row. It is what it is. I think they've probably made themselves look a little bit daft in saying that, really, but it is what it is. Again, I think John might have known Steve from his playing days. Apparently, I don't know, but just everyone looks a bit daft. The football club, the ownership, everyone just looks stupid after that.
Yeah, I mean, that leaves the question, obviously, now who's next? I mean, a lot of names mentioned. I mean, I know I had someone text the other day, Nobby Solano was the front runner from somewhere as well. But I think, obviously, going down that division as well, lots of obviously names that's being mentioned. But you've also got to then look at the leagues just below that. There's some crack managers about in the local non-league scene. I mean, which way would you go now for the new manager?
Well, I put a thing out yesterday, and there's quite a few managers that I would quite like. Nathan Haslam, obviously, being the main guy for me. I mean, look, we've had 5 seasons of dross, essentially, fighting a relegation battle. It's been depressing, and this club needs a total reset on and off the pitch. And I think he's a sort of character that can do that. And he knows football. He knows how to treat players. I think I watched his interview on here with you a few weeks ago. But I think obviously he's committed. I would understand that. I quite like Moore Hebben, and obviously the Stockton gaffer. There's a couple of others I would quite fancy. I just think we need a strong, experienced character to come in, stabilise the football side of things, and kick on next year and try and get back into the Conference North. With a Nobby Solano, I don't really see that, admittedly. It just screams PR stunt, and we had that with Lee Clark in 2019, and Lee Clark was a disaster on and off the pitch. So yeah, it's just I'm getting a bit of deja vu when it comes to Nobby, unfortunately.
Yeah, like I say, I think that division now, you just need the experience to come in and try and get back up as quick as you can. And you mentioned some of the names there would be ideal. And obviously, the work with certain players where I would imagine some of the players would follow them, even if other teams came in with a high amount of money, just because of that certain manager. Like you say, Moore Heaven done a fantastic job. Players would follow him just simply because of who he is, wouldn't they?
Exactly, yeah. I mean, as well, even though I think officially people are still on a contract and all this sort of stuff, it's non-league football. Talks happen months before the season ends, behind closed doors and all this sort of stuff. Right now, everyone will be talking to players, including players who technically still play for us. So when a new manager gets announced, we're probably going to be a week or two behind getting the squad together and starting to talk to people. So yeah, it's not good. I mean, if they didn't want to keep John, they probably should have sorted that out on the Monday after the season ended, really, and then got whoever they wanted in and have them in place now and have them dealing with the current squad and potential new players. But yeah, to dawdle for a week there is probably going to cost worth a good player or two in the end, really. I know it's still, I think it's only just gone May, but again, you know how fast non-league football moves in terms of transfer.
Yeah. Definitely. But one name mentioned last night was the Hartlepool fans that were on Kevin Phillips. Would you take him, or do you think it's kind of looking in a different direction in that way?
I mean, I've heard stories about his time at South Shields, admittedly, so and I won't get into those, of course, but I wouldn't touch him with a barge pole.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I mean, they said they were shocked that he left, obviously, Hartlepool and how quick the manager came in, but yeah, a few people said exactly the same as well.
I mean, I was surprised he did so well at Hartlepool, because when they announced him, I thought, Jesus Christ, that's going to be an absolute catastrophe. And to be fair, bar the 7-1 defeat to Gateshead, he was kind of okay, I think.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely a new direction. Getting on to winners worldwide, obviously, since the last time we had the show, obviously the new people came in. Obviously, it had to be all signed off and everything before the end of the season. It kind of happened right at the wrong time, didn't it? Right, before the last game, it happened a little bit quicker. I mean, what was your first thoughts when they first came in? You seen the meeting and seen kind of what was said on Twitter as well.
I mean, I heard of a few whispers 2 weeks before it originally happened in February. And I just thought, no, it's a load of rubbish. And then the third one came from another weird source, and I kind of thought, right, something's going on here. And then 2 days before the big takeover do party thing, I kind of knew what was happening. No idea who it was. And then I found out at the same time everybody else did. Straight away, people were flagging up the company's house record, business history, blah, blah, blah. And you can understand why, because I've been following non-league football for 20 years. I couldn't tell you how many teams I've either seen go to the wall or collapse due to having questionable individuals in charge of football clubs. The FA's fit and proper persons test is a load of rubbish. The National League, the National League they're a terrible organisation. They don't offer any protection to football clubs and ownerships. You would have thought they learned a lesson with Joe Calla and everything that Gates did a couple of years ago, but clearly not. Admittedly, at first I was quite keen to say, just give them time, let them get their ideas in, and make the changes they want to. But obviously the takeover didn't go through, and it didn't go through until it's not, company's house hasn't even been updated yet, so I don't know about that, but it was a strange one, because we were all under the impression that they run the show, and going up takeover night, we kind of all expected some money to come into the club and have some changes to the playing squad, and it didn't really happen. I mean, we got some. Luke James, I quite liked him as a loanee, but other than that, we didn't really get any reinforcements or any real game changers for me. So, and there's been changes to the club already, with the supporters clubs being sort of mothballed, if you like, in the club shops, being taken over by the club directly. I mean, the club store, the supporters club rather, they run the shop for free. They make the football club 20-25 grand a year, give or take. I mean, to move away from that model to a model that's going to require you to probably pay someone, that's bold, but we'll see. And I mean, we put the survey out at the minute for our supporters. We want to work with them. We want to get across to them what the kind of a bit of an overused word, but culture is, I suppose, and give them a clear idea of what fans want and what fans expect from them. And it'll be up to them whether or not they take heed, because I think at the minute the general feeling is they're on quite a short leash with a lot of people, and I can understand why, obviously.
Yeah. No, definitely. Any Blyth fans, like you say, lots watching now. Get your comments in. Be interested to see what you think about who could be the next manager, and obviously your thoughts just on the club as well. But I think obviously you always see it, as you mentioned, anyone that gets taken over, they sit there at the table and they kind of promise this, promise that, we want to climb the leagues. I think that's the most saying now, and you just got to be careful kind of what you say. As what's happening now with the relegation, it's kind of gone that way rather than that way. But you hear it every club that gets taken over, don't you?
I mean, you do in some ways, but I think other people have been a bit more subtle. I kind of felt like the language used was very direct, and it was indicated that money's going to be coming in, even though they couldn't really say where it was going to be kind of coming from, which is a big concern to me. Like, if you're going to be successful as a football club, to me, and have people on side, you have to have quite a degree of transparency in terms of the money coming in, sort of how it's being funded exactly. If the club makes a loss, can the ownership take it? If that makes sense, because in previous years, Bly's averaged 100 grand a season, let's say, for losses, and Tony and Kev have taken a hit on that and paid for that out of their own pocket. So it'll be interesting to see what happens if we have a few bad results next year and we'll have a few games where the crowd dips, and then whatever the wage budget is, we might not quite meet it, and end of the month it requires ownership to put their hand in the pocket and sort of foot the wage bill.
Yeah, it's got to be careful. It was the same as his Hartlepool, Hodgecroft. I know they kind of slagged him off for so many years, but he looked after the money sensibly. Singh comes in, it's crazy, and it's the same. We're going to have a word about Pat in a minute. It could be the same where he's maybe not done this, not done that, but it could be the safe option where now you're obviously going to see what's going to happen over the next kind of season, so isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, anyone who's been involved in Blyth for years will know, the way Kevin and Tony are. I mean, I had a lot of frustration with them, and people will know why. But at the end of the day, they were good people at heart, really.
Yeah.
I might disagree with a lot of what they did or how they went about things, but at the end of the day, you always knew you were safe with them. I mean, they were probably a bit too conservative in terms of the running of the football club in the last 5 years. I kind of feel like they really fell behind the times, I suppose. But I mean, I've got respect for them for what they did for the club over the years. Tony always said that he would only give the club away to somebody who was gonna pretty much do their best and basically give it to someone who's reputable. Obviously, there's concerns about that at the moment, but hopefully those concerns are washed away within 6 months.
Yeah, like you said, 24 years, it's a long time, really, when you think about it, isn't it? The season going by, but the hats off to the job that he's done previously, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I think he was involved with the club for a year or two as a financial advisor, and I think I've read the stuff from when the club nearly went bust in 2001, and the executive committee at the time just kind of like left it to him, and he was the one who had to work with supporters then to save it. And then I know he's talked about it a lot over the years, and I think people are sick of hearing it, but he did massively help the club out back then. So without him and what he did at that time, we're probably talking about AFC Blyth Spartans at the moment.
Yeah, and getting on to this, obviously the season gone, and it was pretty much like a roller coaster. I know we came before the start of the season, and you said you just want that comfortable season, but it was just a strange one, isn't it? I mean, the start that you had, no one expected it. Literally sitting at the top of the league, and then dropping. Fenton goes, Shaw comes in, things improve again, could be possible playoffs, and all of a sudden down the bottom relegation. It's been a crazy one for you, hasn't it?
I mean, it's probably the maddest season I've experienced in my years following Blyth. I think I looked it up before, like the middle of October was still, I think we're in the playoffs, middle of October. And then by the start of December, we'd obviously dropped massively. Got dumped out the FA Cup in embarrassing fashion, got dumped out the FA Trophy. And then obviously we had the bit of a revolution almost over Christmas when we beat Shields twice, and Shawley took over, and then end of January again we're within playoff within the playoff race. But of course, the last few weeks of the season, it all fell apart. And I mean, the drop off, Arsenal can't ascertain why that was, if that makes sense. I don't think Shaw's used too out of his depth, really. I think he's going to be a good manager somewhere. He just need a chance there. But I think it's a bit difficult saying, because I do, with what I do, I obviously speak to some of the players now and again and get on with most of them. But I did think there was a lack of effort in the final few months of the season, the final few weeks anyway. So, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, like, them last 5 games played, 5 lost 5, and the 2 5-1 losses at the end of the season as well. I mean, it's not good enough, is it?
No, I mean, Scunthorpe game I actually left at half time because we were just, I mean, don't get us wrong, they're a good team, but we took points off them earlier in the season. And I mean, they outplayed well in that game, to be fair, but we still took points off them. Brackley absolutely ran rings around them, and we took points off them away from home with a 18-year-old keeper in net. So getting results against both those teams wasn't exactly out of the question. But I mean, both performances were, like, frankly disgusting. Like, it was, I don't have any other words than that, really. It was just awful to watch. Just a real lack of effort, really.
Yeah, I remember going at that last game of the season. I mean, and a lot of fans are kind of saying this and that on social media and stuff, and they're pretty much saying we're not going to win. We need results at Buxton to go in our favour, really, and it just didn't work out that way. I know I said I was expecting the way around where you would stay up just because both teams would lose, but obviously there was nothing really to play for Buxton. Obviously, 2-0 defeat there, and it just didn't go right. I think you were expecting obviously defeat, but yeah, at home, last game of the season, you know, lots on the line. And to be honest, I thought it being a 1-0, if that, possibly draw, but a 5-1 loss to go down. And it hurts a bit, doesn't it, to say, come on, you need to fight for us a bit.
Yeah, I mean, well, Buxton, I knew they were probably going to lose because they're going full time, I believe, this summer. Craig Elliott's leaving, and a lot of the playing staff, I think, are away as well, which is pretty much the same attitude Hereford brought to Croft Park last year, and obviously beat them 5-0. I mean, Farsley aren't a good team. It's as simple as that. But obviously, Buxton turned up probably quite half-arsed, if we're being honest about it. That's not an excuse, though. As for us against Brackley, there's no excusing it. There was just such a lack of fight and a lack of effort that felt, and yeah, it wasn't good.
Yeah, I mean, looking at next season, I would imagine now, obviously, as a fan, you just want to see someone announced as manager, a good manager, but you want now the chairman kind of come and say, right, this is our plan now for next season, and hopefully see a few better players, decent players coming out just to kickstart things, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I don't have any idea what the playing budget is for next year, so I can't really say how competitive we're going to be. If we're having to be realistic and live within our means, you're probably looking at a mid-table bottom half season. If we're going to have some cash injected from somewhere through the ownership's own pockets or some big sponsors here or there, you know, we might be playoff contenders, but I believe a lot of the players are away this summer, so we're going to have to rebuild completely. It's going to be a brand new team that starts the season in August or whenever.
Yeah, but like you say now, I mean, I know we only in May, but I can imagine people's texting, talking to managing players already. And as you say, you've fallen behind a few weeks, and then you've got to then wait for that new manager to come in. Which players does he fancy? Has already players left by then? And like you say, if you're bringing in pretty much nearly 15 players possibly to make a squad, it's them first few weeks of season. It just takes so much time to gel, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I think the last time I had a big break of a squad in players was obviously when Alan Armstrong left in 2019 and we got relegated. It happened as well in 2011 when Mick Tate left and Steve Coogie came in, and we ended up getting relegated then. So yeah, we don't have good form for mass exodus of players, but I mean, the Northern Premier League, it is a decent level. It's you're probably going to have more of a chance to bed in younger players like the Rio Joyces, the Charlie Aiken and stuff we've had over the last couple of years, who have only gotten sort of smaller chances in the Conference North, I suppose. But I don't know what to expect, really. It's hard to guess at it until we have like a player signed up or have an idea of who the manager is. It's My good feeling is, I don't know. I'm not all that positive, and I'm quite an optimistic person. So we'll see.
It's sounding good.
I mean,
Ian Mason, thank you very much.
5 years. It's been it's been 5 years of just misery. So
Even Mason, he's just asking, would you take Alan Armstrong back?
it's an interesting one because when Alan came in here, he had a very good sort of squad to work from. A few additions, and we were obviously up there. Took that squad to Darlington. He sort of changed a little bit there. I mean, the idea of Alan coming in now, building up a squad from scratch and working under a sporting director who's, I think, making their own signings. I don't know how that's working out, to be fair. I can't picture it, to be honest with you. I would probably take him back. I don't know. It's a weird one. It's, I don't know.
Yeah, it's true.
I probably would.
But I think one thing that you're looking forward to next season, obviously, I know we're losing the games against the Spennies and stuff like that, Darlos, but it's nice to then go and see the other team. Now you've got the likes of Whitby, obviously Morpeth in there, Heaven coming up, possibly Dunstan, Stockton. It's just, like I say, some players from all local side. I think that could be the downside of going down, but positive of playing these new sides from the northeast, isn't it?
I mean, it's not necessarily the northeast sides. I mean, obviously, I go away with the same set of lads I've been hanging around with for 10, 15 years. And, we could be in the Alliance, or we could be in the Premier League. We're still going to go in and enjoy what we're doing, no matter what we're doing. But I think there's only 2 or 3, 4 grounds I think I've not been to. So it won't be that much of a new experience for me in some places. Obviously, having to go back to work, it's going to be delightful. So, but at least get to go to Whitby. But knowing how I look, it'll be on a Tuesday night. So
I was going to say, you want like the bank holidays, don't you? You want to make it a good day away. Fingers crossed for you. But getting on to our quick fire round, which we're going to be asking any guests that's coming on for our season reviews as well. Again, thank you everyone that's been watching as well. Some fantastic support throughout the night. Lots been watching on. Please hit that subscribe button as well. We're absolutely flying at the moment. So thank you for the support as always. So quick fire, Dan. What would be number one, your biggest high of the season?
Christ. I'm probably going to have to say South Shields away, I think, on Boxing Day. Just totally unexpected result. Obviously, you knew the animosity between fans, some of our players, and Shields, and obviously Mr. Thompson, of course. But just knowing the difference in wage budget, to go there and like completely play them off the park was great.
Good shout. Number two, the biggest low of the season.
Take a pick. There's probably 3 or 4 I'd jump out at it straight away, but I've probably got to say Brackley, last game of the season. Just coming down in that fashion was just inexcusable to me.
Yeah. And number 3, which probably ties in with question 1, the best game that you attended last season.
Probably that one, to be honest with you. I think I quite enjoyed Southport away, but I was quite drunk for that one. So
the best ones.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So either Southport away or South Shields away, they were good days out.
Yeah. And number 4, the worst match that you've been to.
If it wasn't the 5-1 against Brackley, it would probably have to be the Worksop FA Cup game, the 5-0. That was another difficult night to take in, that one.
Yeah. Number 5, who's been your best player, would you say, this season for yourself?
Michael Little. I know he's 34, 35 later this year. He's gotten better with every season, which is weird for a left back. For someone who's obviously getting to his point now where I don't know how long he's got left in the tank. I know he's obviously had quite a few injuries in the last couple of years, but if everyone gave the same sort of effort at late stage, we wouldn't be in the situation we're in.
Yeah. And number 6, the player that you probably thought could give a bit more last season, who kind of was a bit of a letdown.
It's a difficult one because there's probably a few signings that were had that maybe didn't work out for work, but I think it was 2 in mind, and it's probably Finn Cousin-Dawson and Will McGowan, because in the first half of the season they were brilliant. They played really well. They were key players for it. Second half of the season, Finn made a lot of mistakes. He was very, very sloppy. I saw Vanarama tweeted out a thing saying he was the best passer in the league. And on the Saturday beforehand, he just passed the ball straight in at one of the Boston strikers and he scored. So, we'll take the stats with a bit of a pint of salt there. But and Will, I really like Will. I know his family are quite nice, but he just was missing the last 2-3 months of the season. Just wasn't. He wasn't creating the sort of chances he was in the first sort of 4 or 5 months, or even getting the goals really. So it was disappointing just that seeing them two fizzle out when they're probably going to go and have good careers in the National League or probably even full-time football, a pair of them. But it was just sad to see the final few months applied. And well, if we'll still here next year, I don't know. But wasn't great.
No. And number 70, the manager, you got to sign one player around obviously the non-leagues. Zone, who would you bring in straight away? You first sign him.
If I could, Paul Blackett. Realistically, I'd like to. If I'm going to try and be realistic, I suppose. If Sam Hodgson can't agree to deal with Cell Shields, I would take whoever were highest in his wages and throw that at him, because when he was at Blyth, he showed a few flashes, but he picked up an injury, and the service he had at the time was a bit substandard. But you've obviously seen what he's doing at Morpeth this year with some okay players around him. I'd quite like to just snap him up, and I don't know if I'd say go as far as build a team around him, but for now at least I would do.
Yeah, good player. Mason just asking there as well, would you take Cullen Dawson back since he got let go by Bradford?
I would, but he won't. I very much doubt he's going to come back here. Yeah. He's based down south, and obviously I think he's probably based North Yorkshire way. So there's obviously Spenny can go for him, Darlow can go for him. There'll be some North Yorkshire teams that you could probably even go over to the Northwest if someone wants to offer him a contract there, because there'll be a lot of teams that can offer him a lot more money than we can, to be honest with you. So, and I know he likes it. Yeah, he's enjoyed himself. Yeah, but I think he's not going to travel all his way every 3 times a week for probably 200-300 quid less than he can get somewhere else.
Yeah, before the final question, I think just touching on wages and stuff there, I think that's going to be really interesting over the summer, because I can imagine now, because of the pyramid that we've got in the North East, it's going to be pretty much what I call bang average players probably be going to certain clubs for a lot more than they would have in the past, just because we've literally got them teams every 11 now, it's so competitive. It's going to be crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, that's been the tale of North East non-league football for 20 odd years or so, maybe even longer, really. The wages that get banded about and some players pick up are ridiculous, but it is what it is. There's nothing you can do about it. You can't sit there and complain about it. You just got to get on with it and play the game. Yeah.
And number 8, I think they had a 3 out of 10 and a 5 out of 10 last night. How would you rate your season out of 10?
We got relegated, so it's hard to give it. Obviously, there's been places I've been with the lads and days out I've had, and I've enjoyed myself at times, of course, and have seen some good displays. At home, it's been pretty touch and go, but at the end of the day, we got relegated, and I'm probably going to give it a 3, really, maybe even a 2 actually, because probably a 2 at the end, just because of the way it ended, and obviously that's maybe a bit of recency bias in there, but like I said before, the last 2 months of the season just weren't acceptable.
Yeah, no, thank you, Dan, very much for coming on the show. Like you said, sorry to put you through it so close to the last couple of weeks what's happened, but hopefully in a few weeks' time, if we're back on, we'll talk about a bit of positivity, a great manager coming in, and a couple of big signs will just do the job for you, wouldn't it?
Let's hope. Let's hope, yeah.
But again, thank you everyone for your support. I think next week we've got the Spenny and the Darlow lads on, going for their season as well. So that'll be really interesting to see their thoughts on both their seasons. But again, thank you very much for watching, everyone. Still double figures now, so thank you so much, Dan, for coming on the show as well. And I hope you both all enjoy the rest of your night as well.